Hey guys, welcome back to Patriot Corner. My name is Remington, and today we're going to be talking about your AR-15 or AR-10. Specifically, the fundamentals of how to operate one. So I don't know, guys, you could have be new to the gun world. You just might have recently picked up your very first gun, and that might have been an AR-15. Or you've been shooting your entire life, and you're new to the AR-15 platform and style. So we're going to dive into that and kind of give you all the things that you might need to know on how to operate and be successful with your firearm. So before we get started, if you like what I'm doing and you want to catch some upcoming videos, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out, guys, so I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, well, let's get into it. All right, guys, so before we pick up a firearm, we are going to talk about the differences between an AR-10 and an AR-15 a little bit here. I know it can get a little confusing, but let's dive into it real quick. So your original platform is the AR-15 platform. Now that carries across into the AR-10s and hybrids and into pistol caliber ARs as well. So the main difference between all of these is the caliber, basically. An AR-15 uses, the original AR-15 uses the 5.56 or a 223. That was the first one to come out in the original. Then they came out with other calibers like that of a 300 Blackout and a 6.5 Grendel. Now your AR-10s, they are typically much larger calibers. So the upper receiver, the top receiver, is built a little heavier so it can maintain the pressures and the stability for a larger caliber. It also has a bigger relief port so you can eject the shell casings of a larger caliber out. An AR-10, the original would be a 7.62 by 51 or that of a 308. They also came out with a couple other calibers, like that of a 6.5 Creedmoor or even a 300 Winchester Magnum. So those are the main things we're going to talk about today and on how to use, operate and use them correctly. Now, typically the operating systems between an AR-15 and an AR-10 are pretty much the same, if not exactly the same. Now, when you get into the pistol caliber ARs, that like of a AR-9 or AR-45 that use the pistol calibers of a 9mm, 45 ACP, or 40, their fundamentals kind of change a little bit. So we're not going to get into that. We'll do upcoming videos and touch in on that on a future date. Now, there's also hybrid ARs, like I mentioned before. A hybrid AR is usually a hybrid between an AK-47 and an AR-15. Now they can be in an AR-10 platform or an AR-15 platform, but depending on who manufactures it. But the hybrid basically is a hybrid between the two rifles, so they're using the 7.62 by 39 caliber AK-47 bullet, and they're using the magazines of an AK-47, the big banana magazines, instead of your standard AR-15 more straight magazines. But we're not going to get into that one. I'll do a future video on that one because they do differ quite a bit typically between the original AR-15. So let's get started. We'll grab us a gun real quick and we'll kind of start going through some stuff. So, to start off, let's understand one thing first. All AR platforms, AR-15s, AR-10s, even the pistol platforms or the hybrids, they are a semi-automatic rifle. Now, what a semi-automatic rifle means is when you pull the trigger, it ejects your casing of your spent round, and a magazine pushes another casing or another full bullet up into the chamber, and your bolt comes forward and pushes it into the chamber so you're ready to shoot again. This all happens in a fraction of a second. So basically, as fast as you can pull the trigger, you can fire as long as you have bullets. So that's the first thing that we need to know and understand about your AR platforms. Second thing you want to know is, all your AR-15 platforms, or all the AR platforms, will take a removable magazine or a clip like this. That way it comes out of your gun and goes into your gun. So first thing is, to use this, you would have to fill this up with rounds first. Now, there's a lot of different types of magazines, a lot of different manufacturers of magazines as well. You know, whether it's a Magpul like this one here, which is kind of a plastic polymer, or your old GI metal magazines. It's kind of up to you on which way you want to go. There's benefits to each, and so on and so forth. The main thing, though, is it's relatively simple to load them. You take a round like this, and you just push it straight down. There's a spring inside of this that you'll compress all the way down, and that will feed your rounds into your chamber as you shoot. Now, there are a lot of different capacity mags as well, you know, whether it's a 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 mag. There's even drum clips and things like that. Now, before you go out and get stuff like that, do be mindful that certain states do have capacity restrictions, so, you know, look that up before you go out and buy yourself a 100-round drum clip. The other thing to remember is, you know, if you're a first time doing this, a magazine can get a little difficult to load at the beginning because your spring itself is real tight. Now, this will get easier in the function of it as you load it and shoot, load it and shoot. And so just be mindful of that. It will loosen up on you a little bit. The other thing I do recommend that is not keeping your magazines loaded constantly. You know, for especially an extended period of time. So, you know, like several weeks or several months. That can actually wear out your spring inside your magazine, and it might not feed properly if you do that. Now, I understand having a few mags loaded for defensive purposes, but every couple weeks you might want to unload those magazines and load up a different mag and replace it, so they keep the tension strength on your spring, so you don't ever have a malfunction or any kind of issue when it comes to that. Okay, so once you got your magazine loaded, pretty simple. You just take your magazine, obviously pointing the bullets towards, or the point of your bullet towards your muzzle. Take it and shove it in until you hear this little click. Now, I personally like to give it another little tap like that. That way you don't have the problem of, while you're out shooting, whether it's, you know, for fun or in a defensive mode, and your clip just dropping out of your gun. Nobody wants that. So give it an extra little tap and know that it's completely seated in there, and it won't come out until you're ready for it to come out. Now, the next step, once you have your magazine loaded and inserted into your firearm like this, is you want to know how to obviously remove your magazine. Now, on your right hand side of the firearm, and we always go from the stock forward, so the right hand side would be from a shooting position, the right hand side of your gun. There will be a little button just next to your trigger. That right there is how you eject your magazine, so you can then throw a new magazine in, like that. Pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You'll see it right off the bat that it is a little button, and that's what it's for. Now, once you have your magazine loaded and inserted into your gun, the next step is to charge or cock your gun. Now, this is where the AR-15 or AR-10, any AR platform, is a lot different than most firearms. You know, most firearms you will have a side charging handle like that of an AK-47. And some AR-15s will do an aftermarket aspect where you can do a side charging handle, but you have a different upper, and there's a lot involved in getting your firearm to that state. So right now we're just going to focus in on your normal AR-15 charging apparatus, and that is back here on the back side of your rifle. Now there's a little button on the left hand side of your charging handle that will be hit with your finger and open this little clicking method here that allows your charging handle to actually slide backwards. This is so it doesn't slide backwards on you on accident or just while moving through or while you're firing your gun. It has to be clicked manually. Once it is clicked manually, you are free to engage your bolt and your sliding method like this. Now this is the 2-finger method that I'm using, and this is for your old style charging handle. There's no extension on your charging handle, and it is made for one hand this side, but it's also really hard to do if you are in the firing position like that. It's a lot harder to do it that way. So a lot of aftermarket manufacturers or builds, people start putting on ambidextrous charging handles, like this one here, where you can then use your right hand to charge it from the side like this, or your left hand, doesn't matter, or you can still do your 2-finger method of straight back. So that's one thing to note, is you can replace charging handles. They're pretty simple to replace, and I will do upcoming videos on builds and things like that. But those are your types of charging handles, and that is how you charge or cock your firearm. Now once it is cocked, as you notice, you'll see this little flap on the side drop down. There's really nothing to this. It is called your dust cover. And that's exactly what it is. It covers your bolt and your action inside, your internals, from getting dust in it. Now, it automatically comes down when you charge your firearm like that. That way your shell casings can be ejected out of your action. Now, when you're done shooting for the day or something, I do recommend throwing that little dust cover back up. That way it seals everything inside, and you just won't get your gun quite as dirty as if you didn't have it. But when you charge it, it'll come right back open, and you're good to go for the day, for having a good time on the range. Now, once you have charged that, now you obviously are ready to go to fire your gun, using your trigger and doing a soft pull. Now we're going to flip to the other side of your gun, and normal AR-15s will have your safety on the left-hand side, and it will just be on the left-hand side. Now it's the type of thing of course, flipping it towards the muzzle makes it safe. Flipping it straight up and down like this will make it where you can fire. Now once it's on safe, typically you can't fire your trigger. You can't use your trigger. It won't engage until it is on fire. But do reference back to my previous video on gun safety, and it will show what else that you need to do to be safe while using any kind of firearm, especially an AR-15. And so a quick note on your AR-15 and your safety and your charging handle. First deal on your safety, do understand that you cannot throw on AR-15 safety when it is not cocked. You got to make sure that you charge or cock your firearm before you can use that safety. So your gun's not broke or having issues. It is the way it's built. You have to have that firearm charged before you can throw the safety on. Another note is you can then, a lot of AR-15 will have ambidextrous safeties where you can do it on either side of your firearm. If not, they do have aftermarket parts where you can replace your safety so it can be an ambidextrous safety. And like I said earlier, I will go into more videos on how to implement those and put them into your gun. Another deal for your charging when you are cocking your firearm is, I see a lot for especially new shooters, is they want to follow this charging handle back towards the gun instead of just releasing it. I highly recommend against this, because if you slow down the speed of your bolt heading forward, you might not get your round seated properly into your chamber. and then you just you either can't pull the trigger or it will misfire since you weren't properly seated on the primer of your ammunition. So when you charge it straight back like this, just let go, release it, let it go straight forward. You're not going to hurt the gun. It's built for this. You can't break it. So make sure when you charge it, just let it straight go. Don't follow up with it. Just let it go. There we go. Now, moving on. So you will notice that there is another little apparatus on the left-hand side of your gun. And it kind of looks like this little keyhole type deal. And what that is your bolt catch. And what a bolt catch does is when you are empty in your magazine, see that? It holds your bolt open. That way it allows for you to then pull out your magazine, replace a fresh magazine, and then hitting this button here will then send your bolt forward. That way you're ready to shoot again. That's without having to do the charging handle again. So there's two things that you want to use this for. First off is, like I just said, on your magazine changes and you know, rapid firing, things like that. And what I do recommend is don't try to just search for it with your thumb. Hit it the entire platform with your palm of your hand. That way when you are firing, you're not trying to look for this little button. You're just hitting the whole thing and it's ready to go. Next deal is when you maybe need to check your firearm or you're cleaning your firearm, something like that, you might need to have your bolt stay open. So now you can do that one of two ways. One way is like I just did here, is you put in an empty magazine into your gun and then use the charging handle. Now, as you can see, the charging handle is loose now. There's no spring tension on it or anything like that. Your charging handle is not broken or anything like that. It's just being held open by the bolt. So just push your charging handle back in towards the gun and you'll hear this click and it's good to go. It won't come out again until you hit the little button on the side of the charging handle. Now, when you are firing and your magazine becomes empty and your bolt latches back open like it is now, you don't have to worry about the charging handle. The charging handle is already seated into your gun and it won't be moving unless you mess with it. Now, that's one way to get your bolt to hold open. The second way is by using your charging handle and charging it, sliding it all the way full charge, and then coming over here and pulling out that little lever. Once it's out, then your bolt is held open. Now you can look down into your chamber to see if there's another fire or another round, or you can clean your gun. A lot of different aspects on why you might want your bolt to be open, but those are two ways of how to do it. Right, and once you're done, slide it forward, you're done, clear your firearm, and you know it's empty and safe. The next deal is a lot of people will look at this little button and wonder what this is. Now, what this is actually built more for a military type aspect, for like real grimy, cold, dusty, dirty areas where you're doing heavy rounds and you are you know, fighting for your life typically. But what this is called is a forward assist. Now, forward assist is for if your gun starts getting, your bolt internally starts getting grimy and the speed of your bolt is slowed to the point where maybe it didn't get your shell casing all the way in, and you're not going to be able to fire your weapon. If you can see, the bolt, you can tell right there, is not all the way seated like it should be. So if it is like this, and without me holding it back, something else is holding it back, you can then go down and use your forward assist. Now, on your bolt, there's a bunch of checkered lines. It looks like a train track that goes clear down the side of your bolt. And what that is for is there's a little lever inside of here, and it's like a chisel, basically. And as you hit this button, it hits each one of those check marks and drives your bolt forward. And you just keep hitting it until it sets itself into the position, and then you are able to fire your gun again. Now, some AR-15s, modern day AR-15s, don't have this anymore, but most do. And so that is the function of this. I'll show some pictures, some up-close pictures that you might be seeing now on what the different bolt and everything would look like. So that is your forward assist. All right, well, that basically is the functionality of your AR platform and how to use it. Now, you will notice that most AR-15s will have a rail that goes along the top. Now, you can have it on all four sides of your different handrails or foregrips, things like that, which allows you to place lasers and lights and different optics on top. Now you can usually place any type of optic you would want on top of a AR-15 as long as you have a Picatinny mounting systems to go on your Picatinny rail. And that is your rail that goes all the way down your firearm. That's also how you implement and put into your iron sights. Now typically most AR-15 use a peep sight for your iron sights. And what a peep sight is a circle in the back and then your standard post on front. And what you want to do is put that post either right underneath of your target in the center of the circle of the peep, or just barely covering your target depending on how you have it sighted in. Alright guys, now you might notice that if you take a look at your rear iron sight, your actual peep sight, that there are two different circled peep sights. And depending on what type of iron sight you have, whether it be a Magpul or another manufacturer, which is usually metal, a Magpul will be pinched together, so both the sights will be together, and you might not know you have to. The other type of sights will be more of a lever type action, where if one's up, the other one's laying down against your gun, and vice versa. Now, to explain the difference in your circles, the little circle and the large circle. The little circle is what you'll primarily be using. So if you're using a Magpul, you'll just keep that pinched together and won't ever probably worry about it. But the little circle is for daytime use. It's a more accurate circle, or a peep, so you can do a little bit longer range, and it's for high level of light. Your larger circle is basically the exact opposite. It is used for low level light or night firing, whether you're using a laser, a flashlight, or night vision, or all of the above. That is the sight you'll want to use with low levels of light. Well, that pretty much does it for your peep sights. We're going to move on, and this will be the last deal, and that is stocks. Now, there's a lot of varieties of stocks. You have your old GI standard stock where it can't be adjusted, kind of like a bolt action. And you move on to more of like a sniper rifle looking stock that you can adjust your cheek piece and maybe the in and out a little bit. And then what most of your AR-15s have now are your telescoping stocks. Whether it's a 5-position or a 6-position telescoping stock. There's a ton of varieties of them, shapes, sizes, durabilities, all types of things you can pick from and choose from. They're all pretty much, work the same way. You'll find a button on this or a lever that allows you to extend the stock to the position you would like. Now, some of them will have a locking mechanism on them so you can't accidentally hit the button and move it, and then you can take the locking mechanism off so you can move it. It just kind of depends on the stock that you have and what you want on your gun. And like I said, we will be doing future videos of different builds and different parts and different things like that you might want to add on to your AR or replace. So, well guys, that's pretty much all there is for your AR and how to function your AR. Now, before we get going, I did think there was something worth mentioning. Now, I did mention your AR-9s, AR-45s, your pistol caliber ARs, and your hybrid caliber ARs with the AK, like your AR-47, things like that. But there are a few other ARs worth mentioning, like a rimfire AR, like your AR-22. Then there are shotgun ARs, like your AR-12, AR-20. And then there are a few bolt action ARs that actually go on the AR frame, but instead of being semi-automatic, they do use a bolt. And they vary in a lot of different calibers. 6mm Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, 308, 300 Win Mag, 338 Lapua. But they will take the removable magazines and pretty much look a lot like an AR, but they are a bolt action. So there's a few other aspects to ARs that you might want to know and be comfortable with. And the last thing that I do want to mention is, and this can be very important, especially if you are using an older AR or buying an older AR. Now, most modern day ARs, you don't have to worry about this, but I would recommend asking whoever you're buying it from, when at the shop or gun store, what caliber your AR is specifically when it is a 223 or 5.56. Now, a 223 and a 5.56 is remarkably almost identical caliber. But if your gun is rated for a 223, it cannot shoot a 5.56. The pressures on a 5.56 are much higher and could hurt you and your gun. Now, if you have a 5.56 AR, you can shoot 223. So do notice on and do figure out which one of your gun, which caliber your gun is rated for. Now, a lot of times they will have it written on your gun, 5.56. Most times they will. If it says 5.56, then you're good to go. You are rated to shoot either 223 Remington or 5.56 NATO. Now, if it says 223 Rem on it, that's when you do need to worry a little bit that you might not be able to shoot a 5.56. All right, guys. Well, thanks for stopping in today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you next time for some more upcoming videos. Great. Thanks, guys. See you later.